Okay friends, welcome to our video tutorial on assignment 5, which is based on case 2 from your textbook titled Bicycle Repair Shop Database. Um, just to summarize the case a little bit, and you can read more about details. The case is about a person who wants to start a bicycle repair shop, and as a part of that project, this person asked his or her nephew or niece, I don't remember who exactly that was, to create a database that the bicycle repair shop owner can use to keep track of customers, their date of birth, their address. Also keep track of the kind of services that the repair shop is offering to customers, and also to keep track of technicians and what kind of jobs they're performing on bicycles during visits and so forth. Okay. So you need to read the case, and actually in this assignment I am requiring you to build an ERD model using Gliffy.com. I showed you in the previous tutorial how to do that. So if you're a bit lost here, please go back to our video tutorial on database design, ERD modeling, because this is where I explain how to, what ERD modeling is all about, what database modeling is all about, and how to create visual models of databases using the ERD notation, and also how to do it in Gliffy, right? So if you're a bit lost, then please revisit those tutorials. And also, I think by now you understand that this is not some kind of vain intellectual exercise, because creating an ERD model helps you when it comes to figuring out the relationships among tables or entities in Access. Okay. Just as was the case with the assignment 4, I'm providing you the tables, so you don't have to worry about the data entry stage. So hopefully, you won't all have any mistakes related to data entry, right? So I'm giving you those 5 tables here. So you can download all those tables right here. So you don't have to worry about tables. However, please do go through those tables to make sure you understand what kind of attributes you have, what are their data types, and most importantly, what kind of primary keys you have, primary and foreign keys, because some of those primary keys are inserted in other entities. So please go through those tables and make sure you understand the data in those tables fully. Okay. However, you do need to worry about the data structure and the ERD model or the data model or the data structure. And I'm sure there is more than one way of doing it, but I will stick to what you have in your textbook. And also, please make sure when you create your ERD diagram, you watch this video first, so that your ERD diagram is consistent with what I will show you here. Okay. So you have all those tables and you have all the primary keys. Now it's a matter of dragging and dropping those primary keys so that the relationships among or between those tables are properly entered. Okay. Now there's one interesting entity, visit line item, and I think by now you know what kind of entity it is. It's an associative entity because it has a compound primary key. It has 2 parts to a primary key. Okay. And as you can see from those keys, it's linking 2 entities together: services available and visits. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, because the relationship between services available and visits is a many-to-many relationship, because during one visit, many services can be performed. Let's say, something related to wheel truing, right? And then the reverse is true. One service can be performed during many visits. So it's a many-to-many relationship. That's why you need to have an associative entity, or the so-called join table, as they call it in Access, linking those 2 tables together. So you need to drag visit ID here to show the one-to-many relationship here. Again, don't click and force referential integrity, because it may create some problems. Because I'm not sure what kind of data is entered there, and whether there are any missing values for one entry in one table or not. Then job ID goes here. Okay. Then this entity is kind of interesting because it has customer ID and technician ID. Now those things, those customer ID is a primary key from the customer entity, but here, again, going back to our presentation on database design, this is a foreign key, but we don't have this FK or PK markers here. But we understand that this is a foreign key. So we'll link it here like this, and we'll link technicians table here. Okay. So you want to make sure that your data model is correctly specified before attempting any kind of subsequent steps like creating forms or queries. Okay. So that's what you need to have. Again, don't forget to create your ERD model and submit it inside that file that I gave you. So in the previous assignment, assignment 4, I'm just asking you to upload your database. That's enough. But here you need to upload both the ERD model file generated by Glyphy. You can either upload it separately or you can just insert it inside the document. And you need to upload your database. So please don't forget to do both database and the ERD model. And your database needs to contain all those items that are discussed in case 2. Okay. All right. So you're done with assignment 2. You're done with assignment 2A, which is creating tables and access. In fact, I provided those tables to you. Now let's go to assignment 2B, creating forms. So basically, you need to create a form that allows you to browse through visits, and then for each visit, you need to be able to see line items. In other words, during each visit, there will be like certain jobs performed. So you want to see what those jobs are, what kind of service was performed or delivered to a customer during a particular visit. Again, this will only work, this form will only be created properly if you have everything correctly specified. So let's try the simple way, let's try to go to, you just point on visits. And I think if you do it like this, it will not create a subform, but let's try. If you go to visits, and then you just create form, yeah, you see what happens is that it is linked, this visits table is linked to visit line item table right here. It's a subform, but we don't have job ID. So let's use wizard to specify that we won't have those attributes. So we'll just close it. So you go to create, then you go to form wizard, and then you're saying you want to have visits table. And you want to have them all, right? All those parameters. And then you also want to have visit line item, and you want to have both of those. I'll put it back because I want to have the same kind of order that you have in this form. So you have job ID, but you don't have. Okay, so we'll go back. So yeah, we want to have visit ID right here. So I want to double check. And then we need to have job ID right here. So it looks correct. You see it's using this dot notation to distinguish that those two come from different tables. So we press next. Yeah, with the subform, that's what we want to do. I think this has to be datasheet. You can have like your form name. What's the name? Visits, right? Yeah, I need to change it because I already have this form here. Okay, so this is our form. I mean, it looks more or less like what we need, but you need to change the layout to make it look nicer. So for that, go to the design view, and this is where you can do all those changes, rearrange things to make sure that everything is nice and properly spaced out. Okay, so I'll let you figure out how to do those things. I think also, like, to make it easier, you have to I selected this. I forgot which one, like tabular format. You can select different formats, so those things are at the top. So you can experiment with this or just change layout here, and I'll let you figure out how to do that. Okay, so we're done with the form part of 2B. Okay, now then we need to deal with queries. Okay. Query 1. You need to create a parameter query that will display jobs performed by technicians, right? So this is this entry. A job by technicians number. So if you go to the design view, you'll see that it uses 3 tables: services available, visit line item, and visits. This is our parameter. You have to enter technician number. You have to prompt user to enter technician number. Don't click on this checkbox because you don't want to have the technician name displayed. You just want to have jobs and the number of jobs displayed. Also, make sure the totals is on because you need to count the number of times a particular job was performed by a particular technician, right? So you need to count that. And just notice that this is like a, this part basically says that this is what I want to be displayed. Not job ID, but number of times, because that's a more appropriate description of that field once job IDs are counted in the visit line item table. Okay. So I'm just telling you, like, this is how the query will look like. Think more about it. I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense because you want to display jobs, right? And you're grouping by jobs. And for every job, you want to count the number of times this job occurred for a particular technician that that the user has entered, right? But at the same time, you want to you don't want to have technicians displayed. So think about it. Just stop. Pause this video. Think about the structure. But I'm just letting you know this is how it would look like. But think more about the logic of this query, like why it's this way. Okay. Again, if you run it, you'll see that you need to enter technician number. Let's say T10, and you have the following report. Right, you have all the jobs and the number of times those jobs was performed for a technician with the code T10. That's what I entered. Okay, so that's query 1. Now, query number 2, you want to retrieve information about customers under 25, because if you remember the case, it looks like the owner of this bike repair shop, is offering discounts to college students, and the way he kind of identifies whether somebody is a college student or somebody is a college student age is that if the age is under 25, although it's not a good way because I'm sure there are plenty of students that are way over 25, so I'm not sure why they do it, but for simplicity purposes, let's assume that it's a good way to identify students in the database. So if you go to the design view, you'll see that this is how this query will look like. It's a select query where you have all this information from one table customers. And the last attribute, which is date of birth of customers, it has a criteria. It has to be greater than this date, right? So once it's greater than this date, it means under 25. Okay. I mean, your date can be different because now it's a date in October. But one thing, a couple of things to notice, like this is how you do it. You just specify you only want to have customers displayed or information for customers displayed for those who are younger than this, right? Who were born after this date. And to make sure that Access properly recognizes this as a date, you put hashtags around it. So this is just to help Access to recognize that this is a date parameter. Working with dates is not a trivial thing to do. Again, going back to R language and Wickham, there's a whole package, there's a whole library specifically working with dates, because recognizing, the date and then properly parsing it, recognizing which digit represents month, which digit represents day, and so forth is not a trivial thing to do. So that's why you need to kind of help out a little bit. You need to help out the Excel system by saying that this is the date. Okay. So this is how the query looks. If you press run, so we have only 2 people who are younger than 25 or 25 or younger. Okay. So this is customer under 25 query 2. Now let's go to query 3, popular jobs. So basically, what you need to do, you need to display information about jobs from the services available table, right? And this is your grouping variable. Okay. And then you need to count, this is like a count element of the answer, you need to count the number of times a particular job appears in this table, visit line item. By doing that, you will count the number of times a particular job has been performed, and that's how you know which jobs are very popular. And you specify that you want to have it sorted in descending order, meaning the highest number will be at the top, meaning the most popular job will be displayed first. Okay? So once again, I'm telling you, this is how the query will look like. Pause for a minute and think about the structure, more about the logic of this query. But this is how it looks like, and if you run it, you'll see that at the top you have the most popular jobs performed. And it looks like wheel truing, which is, I think, based on my limited knowledge of bicycles, it means that straightening the wheel a little bit so that it's not like bent. And then tune-ups are the most, and gear adjustment are the most popular services or jobs performed in that particular bicycle repair shop. Okay. Query number 4: create an update query that increases the price of each job by 5%. Save the queries and increase prices. So this is your update query. I'll open it in design view. Again, make sure you select that this is an update query. And the entrance here, the entry here is very simple. You're just saying that you want to update the field price in the services available table right here, and you update it. You increase it by 5%, and by putting price in square brackets, you indicate that this is this attribute, this particular attribute. That's what you're updating, and you increase it by 5%. So if you go to this query, this is how it will look like, and if you click run, you will see that so it has been updated. So you see the prices have increased, and I think if you press it again, it will be increased by 5% again, right? So if you go to design view, let's say we have by 15% now. So if you go to jobs, you see the price increase even more. Okay, so this is the update query, very simple. Okay. Okay, now at the end you need to generate 2 reports. One report is about total owed by customer. Okay. Now there's one interesting observation here is that the way they recommend you handling this problem. I'll just close all those things to make sure we don't have any kind of conflict. Yeah, I want to save that. The way they're handling it is that they're creating, in order to generate report 1, which lists customer information and then lists the jobs that were performed for that particular customer, the price of those jobs and the totals, it creates a query first. So, if you look at this query, you'll see that this query pretty much draws on most of the tables, right? So it draws on customer table because that's where we get customer information from, date from the visits table, job description for the services available table, and price from the services available. So they create this query. If you run it, you see that this query basically displays all the information that you need, because it displays all the jobs performed for particular customers, the date when those jobs were performed, and then the price, the price for each job. What is missing is totals, right? Totals for each customer, but we will do it using that grouping display, grouping feature that we saw previously in my assignment 4 video tutorial. Okay. Now, what they're saying you need to create a query first, and then you create a report based on that query. You don't have to do it in a way because you can create a report directly from the tables. But what they're suggesting that you will have to create. You will have to create a query to base your report on. If you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. This is this whole concept of kind of separating things at layers. So basically, by doing that, by creating a query first and then building a report on the top of that query, what you're doing, you're separating data retrieval from data representation. Maybe a good idea. It may be a good idea because it makes it easier for somebody else to kind of wrap their mind around it. So if they want to, do some changes, they can do changes at a particular layer as opposed to doing changes everywhere at all layers. So this is like some kind of management/organizational technique of separating, different layers in a database. I'd also used in all kinds of computing fields. For example, in telecommunications, this separation is used in different models, like OSI model, right? So you have like a transport level, you have hardware level or physical layer where like the actual physical signal is being sent. So it just makes it easier to understand and do changes when you separate things at different layers. So it's like a divide and conquer principle. Okay. So we'll create a query first like this, and I showed you how this query looks like. Again, think more, pause and think more about the logic of this query. But basically what you're saying, you want to retrieve this information about customers. And for customers, you also want to see the date that customer visited. The reason the appropriate information will be retrieved is because of those links. And then for each visit, you want to see the kind of services were performed and what is the price of those services, right? So that's your query, okay? Now, to create a report that looks similar or identical to what you have in your book, you just press this query to make sure that this query is automatically selected. You go to create, then you go to report wizard, okay? And immediately, because you have this selected, it says, okay, it looks like you want to select information from this query, right? So which is true, you want to select all of that information, so you press this group add button, okay? Then you press next. So here it asks you how you want to group it. So this one is good enough, but it will be grouped like this. You have group, subgroup, and subgroup. But if you put it like this, I think it's more kind of aligned with what. Oh no, it's date. No, so well anyway, it doesn't matter. You can either select this one or this one. We'll do adjustments later on. So let's select this kind of grouping. So we have jobs and prices, and then grouping by customer and date together. Okay. So we press next. So yeah, we want to have everything grouped by last name. We'll not have any summary options. So we're going to have stepped format, and then we'll put it in the landscape to make it look nicer. You press next. So the report will be called total owed by customer. And we already have that here, so I'll put like a number to distinguish it. Okay, yeah, I forgot about it. So we put 2 because we already have that report here. Okay. So this looks almost similar, almost identical to what you need to have. There are some adjustments that you need to make. So you'll close this print view, and you'll go to design view, and this is where you make those adjustments. Okay. Now, first of all, date has to be displayed for every job, not just for every customer, just to make it look the same, similar or identical to the report that you have in your textbook. So you put your date here into the details, right? Now remember, you need to press on the group and sort. And this is where you can add totals. You go to more, it says no totals, but you specify that you do want to have totals based on the price. Okay, so you have sum of price. And I will select it in the subtotal group header because your group is basically student information, right? And then what I will do, I will show a grand total, because it may be useful for the owner to know what was the overall amount earned by performing services to customer. I don't think it's in your book. Yeah, but I will add it. I will add it anyway. So once again, you can change labels, positions. You can reformat things a little bit. I'll let you explore like all those features and items on your own. But it looks like the report is ready because if you go to report view, you have what you need, right? It looks exactly to what you have in your textbook. So you have prices you have date for every job, you have price for every job, and you have total being displayed right here for a customer, right? I think I selected this option header. To me, it looks better because for every customer, you know exactly the amount that you earned from that customer, and then there's a breakdown. But you can go back and make it look exactly like it's in the textbook. So instead of placing the total price in the header, you'll put it in the footer. So you select more. So you have price being totaled. Instead of header, you select footer. Okay, so it places it right here. So if you go to report, now it looks exactly, it looks like exactly to what you have, exactly similar to what you have, or identical to what you have in your textbook. Okay. Okay. So this is how you do report 1. Now let's go to report 2. Here in report 2, you need to have information. You need to have information about job performed by particular technicians, right? So, for example, there is a technician named Ellen, and you want to see all the jobs that she performed, and also you want to see the date when those jobs were performed. You want to see the price for those jobs, so you want to see how much a particular technician actually earned for you. So maybe this can be used for calculating wages or earnings for that specific employee. Again. You need to create a query, to separate data retrieval from data representation. And I will not save it. So work report. So I'll open it in the design view. So this is how it will look like. You will retrieve information about technicians, the name of the technician. You will also see the services performed. Like jobs. You will retrieve job information for that specific technician, the date for this job from the visits table. The price for each job. Okay. Again, think more about it because you're working with different tables. But here you're retrieving information about technicians, jobs that technician has performed, the date when this job was performed, and the price for that job. So pause if you need to think more about the logic of this query. But this is how the query looks like. If you run it, you get all the information that you need for your report. Okay. So what I will, I'll just tell, I'll probably stop because I already showed you how to create, reports for, for customers, right? You need to do the same thing. Just select this query, go to create, report wizard, and then just do the same thing I did for the previous query. Select the queries that you want to do. Think about the grouping, right? Then have this totals displayed, and then just do any kind of adjustment that you want to in the design mode. Okay, so I'll just show you how the end result will look like. If you go to work report right here, if you go to design view, so this is what it needs to look like. So you have a footer. Remember, like I added this option for the groups, right? So there is a price totaled, and it's being displayed in the footer for that group, right? So name is here, job description is here, date is here, price is here. So I'll show you how to do it for the previous report, so hopefully you'll figure out by analogy how to do it for this one, okay? So once again, thank you for listening. Best of luck. Best of luck with both of the assignments. I do want you to take some additional time if you really need it in order to really master Microsoft Access. So I'll go ahead and extend the deadlines. But make sure you put you allocate some time to it so that you complete everything. The reason I'm saying that is because we have a midterm exam coming up. So shortly after the deadline, there will be another deadline, which is for you to take the midterm exam. The midterm exam will be multiple choice. However, there will be some kind of hands-on practical questions that assess your hands-on, your practical understanding of Microsoft Access and ERD modeling. Okay, so thank you for listening. Best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions by posting your questions here, and I promise I'll be checking regularly over the weekend so that I can promptly address any issues that you may have. So thanks for listening.